Obviously a great win for us. Really excited to bring Floyd home, and our players put him in his pen yesterday, so that was really cool to watch them do that. It's kind of a tradition around here, so really excited about that. Being able to win the first time at Kinnick Stadium since 1999, that's a huge feat for us, and something that we set out to go accomplish. And having both, I actually just walked by and took a picture of it, which is unique. So first time we've had the axe and the pig in there since, 1993. What's that?
You couldn't haul it out for us, 188 pounds?
No. Somebody asked me this morning if I was able to get that over my head. And I can't get a broomstick over my head, guys. So let alone Floyd with my shoulder surgery. So, but that's the first time we've had both of those in the building since 1993, 30 years. And that means a lot. I don't think, when you sit there and think about it, you got to take that stuff in at least for a few hours or minutes or seconds, or else, what are you doing it for? So we did that yesterday with our football team, and now we go back to work. Got a lot of work to do and got to continue to get better. We got a really good opponent coming into Huntington Bank Stadium who's really athletic, really good. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, and athletes everywhere. Also just want to, send our thoughts and prayers out to Muhammad Ibrahim, obviously with what happened to him yesterday. Got a chance to FaceTime him, talk to him, and, he's doing okay. He's in really good spirits, which is good. Just as, when people get hurt, there's a lot of emotions that go through and the whys and what's next and things like that. So if all of our fans would just keep him in your thoughts and prayers, that would be great. And I know he could use your support right now. Especially first time he's touched the football in the National Football League. Just, it's unfortunate because I think he's one of the, he's on his way. And sometimes we just don't know why, but things happen. It's football. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. So really excited about the win, obviously. Had a great bus ride home. It was a lot of fun. And now we're moving on. So we're 0-0 again. It's Monday, 0-0. Looking to be 1-0 in the Michigan State season. So with that, we'll open up for questions.
Did you take some time for yourself to celebrate a little bit in the wee hours of Sunday morning, or how did you do that? Any insights you can share with us?
Yeah, I'll give you maybe a little bit. We celebrate, life's about moments and memories, right? And we took the bus ride home, 5 hours home. You get home at 1 o'clock in the morning. And, I've had a very special bottle that's in my bourbon cabinet that I collect, and it had that name written on it. And got home, and Heather and I shared just a teeny bit of what it tastes like, and it tasted just as good as I thought. So it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait. And every time we didn't win, I was like, man, I can't wait to taste that bottle. And people asked, let's open that. We're not opening that. Why? Because that one's Iowa. And that's just how we live. And those are the things you collect over the years. And those are the special moments and memories you have. And that's how, I guess, Heather and I celebrated. And then we went to bed because it was really early. So, yeah. But we had Floyd on the bus ride home. And he was all buckled in. He was right by Mark McElroy, our police officer, who's an alum as well. So he got to be the one that protected Floyd all the way home on that bus. So if something happened on that bus and we all had to run out, Floyd's first. So just make sure that Floyd gets off this bus first.
What does putting him in his pen mean?
Put him in his pen. Pigs live in a pen. It's in the Hall of Fame trophy room. Put him in his pen. So he's in his pen. You can walk by and see it on the way up.
Talk about young players learning through experience. Devin Eastern's one of those guys. How much progress has he made?
Devin Eastern, Anthony Smith. We're talking about really young players and guys who are inexperienced too. We needed these guys to grow up. This is what we talked about. We have really experience and inexperience. And that can worry you as a coach, right? And I think Devin Eastern has grown more as a person than just a football player. If you grow as a person, you'll grow as a player. It's not the other way around. And because you've got to do the unrequired work. And you've got to, from your body to your mind to your emotions to your skill set to the fundamentals, technique, all of that. And then the confidence piece of that. And you're learning how to do that among some really good opponents. And I couldn't be more proud of him. He's really come on really strong. And he's only scratching the surface of how good he can be. And I can speak the same for a young man like Anthony Smith, But our guys came up big. You're watching a team grow up in front of your eyes. That does not promise you wins. That does not promise you anything, but it gives you a better chance. And we knew that these are going to be the challenges of this particular team. We've had teams that were older. I didn't worry about that as much. But when you aren't staying healthy at some positions, and you got to have young people grow up really quickly, Devin Williams is a great example of that. Maverick Baranowski is a great example of that. Devin Williams played his best football game. One of the better linebacker performances I've seen since I've been here as a sophomore. And 2 weeks ago, I couldn't say that. So you're watching growth, and that's what I want to see from the team. We'll all be judged on wins and losses, and that's your job to judge us and say the things you say, and rightfully so. But I'm more interested in them growing as people because I know then they'll grow as players. And our guys are committed to doing that, and I'm really proud of what they've done. But again, you're only as good as what you just did, and now it's got to be better, and you got to change your best.
What's your backfield look like this week if Darius and Zach can't go?
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the good thing is we got some good news on some guys, so that's good. But when you look at the depth, Jordan Newbin's going to have to be able to be ready to go. He was ready last week. He'll be fine that way. Sean Tyler, and then we'll hopefully have one of those guys in the mix. So, next man up.
When you look at the passing game, obviously Daniel had a big game. How do you get other guys going in the passing game, pass catcher?
Well, we did everything we could for that to happen. We got to be more consistent at catching the football. I think that's what it comes down to. And I think the guys would say the same thing when they're in this room. We can make the plays. We left 5 or 6 makeable plays that they make every single day on that field. And you do that, it's different. We're 17 of 25, 16 of 25 for over 200 yards, and you're sitting there going, okay, that was a really good game. And again, if you go back and you look at our stats, it's either a throw that could be a little bit better, that much, or a catch that should have been made. And again, some people are willing to go through it. Some people are willing to go around it. I have always shown I'm willing to go through it. But we've got to be able to be better and play better at those positions and make the plays that are presented. And I know our guys will. And it's not like they ignored that. They understand that, and they take pride in their performances.
Peace of mind you have knowing you got a kicker that can put the ball through the uprights most times.
Well, he's a football player. Dragon's a football player. He's not just a kicker. The word just, I hate that word just because people say, oh, he's just. No, he's not. One, he's one of the most fascinating, interesting, unique people you will ever meet in your entire life. And I think all of you have talking to Dragon know he is, starting with his name. It's not Dragon, it's Dragon, right? And you get to know his personality and his confidence and the depth of this young man and the interest he has and having conversations with him like he's a grown man. And he's always smiling, and he's one of the hardest workers on the team, and he's a kicker. And maybe that is different other places, but here, he's a football player. And you have to be a football player to play here. Kicking, quarterback, D-line, O-line, doesn't matter. I mean, you got to be a football player, and he is that. I thought, the biggest kick he made was the one back into the wind from the same hash that he pulled it right and puts it right down the middle for the game winner. That just shows his resolve and his resiliency. But not only that, his confidence he has in himself. And you earn that confidence by the preparation and putting yourself in those game situations like he has. And he does that every day. And I get a chance to see it and have the privilege to see it every day.
Greg Harbo is the play caller in his first year.
I've seen a ton of growth. I mean, nothing rattles Greg. Greg, you never go over there. Greg's always got an answer, and he's always got a solution. Same with Matt. We have some challenges, right, offensively. But they're always finding solutions. They're always solution-driven. And that's what I appreciate about him. And you never know from a first-time play caller what that's going to be. And I told you there's always 3 things I always evaluate. Is it coaching, scheme, or personnel? And I'm really pleased with where we are. And again, you can go by the stats and yards. That's one thing. I know what our issues, maybe what our areas of improvement have to be, why maybe the result is the result. But having the patience to call that game, the patience is, I think, where Greg has really grown a lot. Because that's the only way you win that game is you're patient. You cannot get bored by doing the boring. You can't get bored. And the minute you don't get Or the minute you get bored and you get anxious, that's how Iowa gets you. We didn't have any turnovers. They had 3. That's the difference in the game, period.
I counted, you stopped them on the run for 0 yards 8 times, and there were 3 times for losses. Talk about the improvement in point of contact defense.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the week before, 2 weeks before we played Michigan. We did not tackle well. We spent the bye week working on our tackling circuit, working on the form tackling, working on our players' confidence. Part of that's getting them healthy so they can go have that extra gear to go chase something down. And again, a lot of these guys with Cody being out have to play probably way before they should play. And I just said, Devin Williams was a sophomore, Maverick Baranowski, they were both elite players from our game that we voted on. And they're a freshman and a sophomore in that type of environment and that type of game. And again, I know maybe now people are like, oh man, but we're not only thinking about now, we're thinking about down the road. You're constantly doing it as a head coach. They had 11 yards rushing.
I was going to say, I had to mention the stat, which is 28 carries for 11 yards.
11 yards, and their longest rush was a quarterback sneak.
I haven't seen that stat too many times.
Me neither. But we also didn't give up a first down against Eastern Michigan in the second half. There's a lot of stats. Are there reasons, not excuses, but are there reasons why maybe at times we haven't played so well? Absolutely. And as a head coach, you have to dissect those reasons and respond to those reasons. And you have to know it, not react to what people are saying. I know what goes on inside our building, and I know the why to everything. And, you have a job to do. I have a job to do. And my job is to get the team better, period. And then they go out there and play for 3.5 hours. We'll get a result. And then my job is to respond to that result, win or lose. Whether we won that game or didn't, our job is to respond. Just like at the end of the game, we were already in 2-minute drill. I was already on the offense talking about 2-minute because our mentality was we were going to go down there and score. That was our mentality. And that's what you do. You respond.
What stands out about this Michigan State defense?
Yeah, well, first of all, they're big, they're physical, they're long, they're fast. They'll hit you, and they'll hit you hard. And they're going after the ball constantly. Their blitz package is pretty diverse, so we've got to be ready for that. But they're playing at a high level. Again, anybody who plays against Michigan, you might as well just throw that out because they're so. I mean, they're in a different planet right now, and that's a compliment because they're in a different planet at a completely different rate than anybody they've played, including us. And but when you watch the other games of what they've done, I mean, they've for 3.5 quarters, handled a really good Rutgers team that's playing really well right now, and then ended up losing that lead. But you go back and you watch this; they're playing really good football at a lot of moments, and I'm sure they're going to want to put it all together against us.
What do you look to see improvements when it comes to coverage units?
Well, the last play, you guys haven't even asked me about that yet. Someone going to ask me about that? No, your plan's not to ask me about that?
Well, we talked about post-game, so.
Oh, yeah, but I got a chance to watch some film. All right, so what's your question? No, well, I'll talk about coverage all you want. Let's just talk. How many minutes I got left? Let's talk about some coverage. No, let's talk coverage. So we'll get there. But the coverage piece is, if you watch one of our players, it's gap integrity. It's just like a defensive play. Most of our punt people are defensive players. So when you punt, everybody has their lane or their gap. One of our players, as he spins, jumps inside out of his gap, and that's how he goes down the sideline. And I think our specialists have played really well this year. We've made some big-time plays in our coverage units. We've also had some mistakes. Nothing's going to be perfect. We've also played really well on offense. Times we haven't. Same on defense, and we haven't. Special teams has a limited amount of plays, so I think that's what gets covered a lot more. I'm not defending being out of your gap. That's got to be better. We have to improve in that area, and we've got to be more consistent, with our coverage units.
What are the issues on kick return right now?
Well, first of all, it's just we got to be able to stay and maintain our blocks, and then we have to be able to break a tackle here and there. I'll take the ball to 25 at times. Based on how we return it. That's the option these days. You have that. Then the kick return stuff, the ones that we didn't field are into the wind, right? I don't think we had them up, and that's my fault. We didn't probably have them up enough. I probably gave way too much credit to pregame and what was going on and where we were going to put them. I probably should have moved, Sean up a little bit more. And And putting him back there in that type of game, probably hasn't seen enough back there this year to put him in that position. So that falls on me.
After reviewing the film of that, punt return, any other further thoughts on it?
Well, there's nothing controversial about it. Nothing controversial. Offsides is offsides. False start's a false start. A hold is a hold. Invalid fair catch signal is an invalid fair catch signal. Now, the way the rule states is invalid fair catch, so everybody thinks it's above your shoulder and it has to look like a fair catch. That's not part of the rule. The other part of the rule that was implemented years ago is the poison rule. When you poison or peter any call, you cannot advance that ball. You can point to a ball. That's fine. But with one hand, you can't shoo away people at all. You can't do that. We got called for that weeks ago, if you remember. We shooed people away from the ball, caught it, wanted to return it, and it was blown dead. The only thing that should have happened, right, and I'm not a referee, nor am I blaming anyone, is it should have been just blown dead right there. Don't even let that play happen because it doesn't exist. The play doesn't even exist because it's a poison and a peter call, and it's a dead ball. No controversy about it.
Do you think they officials, were on that PJ initially, or do you think
Somebody had to be.
came about when they were first reviewing whether he stepped out of bounds?
Who said he stepped out of bounds and they were reviewing that?
That was the assumption on television, wasn't for the replay.
Well, you said assumption.
Yeah, that they.
I was never told about out of bounds. I was told when they came over to tell me that they were reviewing whether he fair caught it or not.
Do you feel that was a tactic that they were trying to do to kind of lull the defense of the coverage team into sleep, I guess, and then?
Well, that's why they put the rule in to begin with, right? And when I was a player, we were walking down the stairs talking about it. You could peter, poison, take that ball and go. You can't do that anymore. One hand, two hands, right? You can't do that. And so this was the fair catch piece, and that's part of the fair catch rule. That's why I think so many people are probably confused by it, because there wasn't a fair catch, correct? But if you just go like this, that's invalid. That's going to be dead, right? Anything low, get away from the ball, that's going to be dead. So
Is that something that you have? But like Kirk today is still not letting it go. He's trying to say, well, the kid's trying to keep his balance. I mean, does that play into it? I don't want to bait you for that, but
no, I mean, we still had to go play football. That play did not exist, right? So we still had to go play football. Next play, our players respond. We have a sack. Then we have an interception. You get pulled over for speeding. Do I know why I pulled you over? No. Well, you're going 25 miles over the speed limit. I was just keeping up with the flow of traffic. I mean, we still had to make plays. We still had to go make plays, right? And again, as I said before, I mean, we had 3 takeaways. We didn't have any turnovers. They had 11 yards rushing. They had 127 yards of total offense. We had 113 rushing yards. We were 4 or 5 in the field goal unit. We had to remove our players from the sideline.
Is it realistic to expect Cody's back for November, where you can play him in 4 games and redshirt him?
Realistic.
How cool has it been to see the excitement and response from the alums after this win?
Really exciting. This is why you do it. We're coaches. I mean, we're hired to bring entertainment and pride and wins and success and joy to fans, alumni, university, state. There's a financial piece of that to the state. You're hired to do all these things, that not just coach. You're hired to do all of it. What you enjoy about it is the process of the people, making them better, making them grow, making them better football players, making them better men. But there's this massive piece to all of it. That's why you're here, and you're hired to do that for however long they allow you to do it. This isn't forever. You get your hired help to make people really, really excited about their alma mater. And I know that this is the one people have been talking about for a lot of years. And by no means is this the end of the season. I know that was a 1-0 championship season against Iowa. We were able to do it. We got a reward for it. We got a trophy for it. Floyd's home. And we look forward to sharing Floyd with our community, just like we have with the Axe, our fans, our alumni, and anybody who wants a pig in their home.
For the
the sheer weight of Floyd, because you saw Dragon, get there first and trying to wait for the defensive lineman to get there and lift it with him. And then in the locker room, the celebrations, you saw the guy holding it while you guys be on Sky Yuma kind of struggle to keep it up. So what was your description of how heavy actually Floyd is?
Well, Coach Nickel, who's our strength coach, told me it's definitely heavier than 98 pounds. Now I was told it was 98 pounds. And now I'm not, now again, I did not lift it, above my head or anything like that. So, but I did tell him, I said, when you go over there and you run to go get it, pregame, I said, just make sure you have other people. We have a buddy system because it is really heavy. We don't want anybody throwing their back out. But they did exactly what it was. They team lifted. And that's exactly what you wanted to be able to have. Nothing's better than watching the joy on their face after that game, though. And
kind of comfortable just holding it by himself.
yeah, he did. Yeah, and what's great about it is you get to share that as a legacy player with his father, Jay Carroll, who played here. He gets to share that moment with his dad. We were talking about tattoos in our stretch line yesterday. I'm not sure if his mom knows this, but he was talking about finding a way to get a pig tattoo because to attach it with his dad and put it all together. I'm not sure if him and Jay have talked about that. I'm not sure if they've cleared that with mom, but not sure if he'll even go through with that. But it's just really cool how a legacy player can connect that with his father. That's a really special moment that I'm glad that Quinn and Jay have that moment together.
More for coach, or is everyone all set?
PJ, did you get, were you, when there was debris coming on the field and you took your team out there, were you looking for some sort of unsportsmanlike or anything like that at that time?
Well, in the rules, right, it only can be called unsportsmanlike on the people who are inside the arena, right? And you've got to stop the game. And that's, Tim did a really good job of that, our official, because he brought us all in, allowed us to stay in there. Then we brought him back, and it happened again, so we brought him back out. And, I don't think there's any room for it, right? So, I was pretty upset by it. My job is to protect our players, and when you can't control that situation of protecting them, you feel a little hopeless and you're looking for help. And whether we needed to go out further and move Iowa so we could go out to truly midfield where they couldn't get hit by anything. But, yeah, you fear for your players' safety, and they made that very clear. That wasn't, that wasn't on their mind. So I had to be able to move our players, and I know that Mark Coyle and Commissioner Petiti will handle that. And I know